Hey everyone, welcome back to WrestlePop.
Alright guys, Andrade has left WWE, and ever since he has just been giving interviews left and right, talking all over social media, and he's just been shooting everywhere all over the place.
You know how it is, Andrade, he's a young guy. He's really hungry, he wants to be a main eventer, and unfortunately it wasn't coming to him as fast as he wanted it. And so he left the company because he's impatient. And guys, he's doing these interviews and he's talking on social media, and it just seems like he's stirring the pot. And unfortunately, he's engaged to Charlotte Flair, and let's face it, it's affecting her career. So there's a lot to unpack here, and we're gonna try to break it down. And first thing, guys, is this. You guys need to know this interview that he did with a Spanish tabloid, or whatever you want to call it, like wrestling organization. It's apparently lost in translation, everything, because some people are saying he said this, and then others are like, oh no, that's not what he meant, and all that kind of stuff. So we're gonna try to break it down, and hopefully we get this accurate.
Yeah, all we can do is speculate on what's actually being reported out there. How true is it? We don't know. But here's the thing, guys. First off is his pay. Now, he claims, or at least the translation of the interview claims, that he was making $3 million per year with his WWE contract. Now, Dave Meltzer is saying that his contract was for $3 million for 5 years, which would put him at around $600,000 per year, which seems a little bit more accurate because if you guys don't know, people like AJ Styles and Seth Rollins are making about $3 million per year, and Charlotte herself is only making around $550,000 per year. So the $3 million alone per year for him seems a little off the mark.
Let's face it, he's not worth $3 million a year. He's not making that. I think this was misunderstood. He meant to say, I'm making $600,000 a year, and total in 5 years, $3 million.
Yeah.
Which I think this is one of those instances where it was just misunderstood.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. Although at one part, the translation did say, I'm getting several million per year.
But
so I was like, what?
Let's face it, $600,000 a year, that's a lot of money. Plus you're working with your girlfriend, soon to be wife. So pretty good deal, man. He should have stayed where he was because that's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money. And here is the thing. He says that he did not want to sit around for 3 or 4 years collecting a paycheck and not getting to do anything. And I'm like, how stupid are you? Like, who would not love to sit around, not do any work at all, and collect $600,000 a year? Like, I want to be like Charlotte, beat this man over the head with a hammer or something. Like, knock some sense into him. Because
look, Charlotte is the perfect example. If you guys don't know, she's doing a lot of other stuff outside of WWE, a lot of acting stuff. Thanks to the WWE, they got her roles. So she's gonna make a lot of money thanks to these outside gigs that she's doing. Because you wanna say, bro, why didn't you stay? Because I'm sure down the road, they would have got him something similar. Yeah,
I agree. And here's the thing. He also says that when he told them that he wanted to leave, Triple H actually offered him some sort of deal where Triple H is like, hey, let's just send you back to NXT. You'll be a superstar over there. Everyone loves you. And to add to it, I'm gonna give you even more money at NXT.
So just think about that. This guy is a freaking bonehead, right?
100%.
They offered him more money to stay, go to NXT where he would be a star, but he felt it was a downgrade and he said, no, F you, Triple H. Okay, he didn't say it like that, but he said, no, I'm leaving. Really, really dumb. But now, guys, it just gets even better. And here's something really funny on what made him leave the WWE.
Yeah, he claims that there was a couple guys that were just really nice to him and provided him guidance. He said Drew McIntyre is one of them, but also Randy Orton. And he said that Randy actually told him, hey man, why aren't they using you? That's messed up. They should be using you more. And so after that, Andrade just ripped up his contract and he said, that's it.
So just think about that, guys. Randy Orton, he's been around for almost 20 years. Do you think the guy might have been possibly ribbing the guy? Because let's face it, this is something wrestlers back in the day used to do all the time. There's a lot of stories. We did one recently about Brock Lesnar and Kurt Hennig, where Kurt Hennig was like, you made $250,000 at WrestleMania, that's it? Only $250,000? Vince McMahon ripped you off. You better call them. And I think that's what happened here. Let's face it, Andrade, man, you're like a new guy. You gotta like pay your dues, you gotta wait your turn and all that kind of stuff. Because there's only one person who can be world champion, one person who can be intercontinental champion and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm sure Randy Orton was probably stirring the pot And Andrade, being an emotional guy, he thought, well, if Randy Orton's telling me that he's shocked, must mean something, right? And so I think he got played there.
So here's the thing. He claims in one part of this interview, which he did end up saying was lost in translation, it seemed like he said that he had a better grasp of the English language than Asuka and Brock Lesnar, who happens to be an American. And he said that their WWE was not using him because he did not speak English as fluently. And he's like, well, I can speak it better than both of those two. Now, he claims after the fact that what he really meant was that they don't need to be able to speak English for, you know, their characters and stuff. So why should I have to? While his criticism was on the surface a valid criticism, whenever you flesh it out, it really doesn't make sense because he's comparing apples to oranges here.
Let's face it, WWE, number one thing is very important is you got to be really good on your promos. Number one is promos, number two is your look, and number three is wrestling. Unfortunately, he's a good wrestler, but the other two, like, it's okay.
Yeah, not so much on those two.
Now we got to bring up Charlotte because she is the women's division in the WWE. She's freaking money, man. She is the number one girl, and he just talks about her, and he needs to keep her name out of his mouth. But unfortunately, he's just like spilling the beans on all their private stuff. And guys, here we go, because this, I think, is going to be the downfall of Andrade and Charlotte, because the dude needs to just shut up.
Yeah, because it seems like she's still wanting to stay at the company, at least publicly. She's not making any sort of displays like he was, but yet he's putting her kind of job in jeopardy, or at least her standing with all of her peers in the company, because he's talking about a lot of things that he really should not be talking about.
And here's the first one, okay, because this is really important. He claims that some girl in the locker room, probably a girl that's jealous of Charlotte, took a photo of Charlotte in the locker room. Now, what exactly does that mean? We don't really know. Maybe, you know, was she naked? Maybe was she in her bra and panties? Or maybe like whatever, right? Like, it seems real creepy for him to say this, because this is a serious allegation.
Yeah, and he claims that Charlotte knows who it was and that he knows who it is, but that she didn't go to management about it and she just kept it under the radar. So now for him to say it, now it's just going to create like seeds of dissension amongst all of the women, because the women are going to be like, well, who did it? You know, it's like, it's creating like a weird atmosphere now, and now she has to deal with that because everyone's going to be wondering, like, here's the thing. What if it wasn't that the woman was even taking a picture of her? What if the woman was taking a selfie of herself and Charlotte thought she was taking a picture of her, and now it's just a very weird situation, and I think it's gonna only hurt Charlotte with the girls.
Yes, 100%. Now, guys, it gets even juicier, because apparently, possibly, Charlotte might have been pregnant.
Well, that's kind of what he alluded to, which Charlotte then had to come out and basically kind of clarify his own statements for him. So he claims that when she was doing some testing for WWE, they called her and told her, hey, your HGC levels are elevated, which typically can indicate a pregnancy, but not always. And sometimes it's a pregnancy that doesn't end up going, you know, any further. So there's a lot of things that could be there. So basically, when they called her up, they kind of suspended her for pregnancy, and then she took several at-home tests to prove that it was negative. Then she had further confirmation tests to prove that it was negative, but then she ended up getting COVID, so she was still out, and it was a whole big thing. But he basically said that, you know, it wasn't right the way that they did her. And then Charlotte even came out and kind of said, I didn't like the way that the message was conveyed to me and all this and that. So now she's kind of calling out WWE for how they handled things.
Yeah, guys, so here's the thing. We're going to read you Charlotte's thing, and it's very weird the way she put it.
What Manny said about the pregnancy test in today's interview is true, but a significant amount of context is lost in translation, and we'd like to clear that up as best we can. A few weeks ago, Charlotte received a call from WWE Medical telling her that her HGC levels had come back high and she was being medically suspended for pregnancy. That day, she took several home tests that all came back negative. A few days later, blood work and ultrasound confirmed there was no pregnancy. This was before any issues with COVID COVID, she is currently medically clear. This put a lot in context for her, mainly how small a woman's career window is. The men are able to work well into their 50s while the women are seen as older in their early 30s even. For an athlete in her prime, these years mean everything. Her issue was with the process and how the information was relayed as opposed to the information itself.
So this whole thing is really weird. It's kind of like the Alberto Del Rio Page situation where here's two wrestlers in a relationship and it's causing a lot of drama. That's what it sounds like with this one.
Yes.
Now, I want to make 3 points. Number one is, why is Andrade talking about this publicly? Why not do this privately with Charlotte and the company, right? Number two, I don't see anything wrong with the WWE, because if she's pregnant, they're not going to want her to wrestle. So I feel they're not like in the wrong here.
Well, and as the woman, I feel like you would want to like protect that. So why would you even want to be in the ring?
And number three, why is Charlotte turning this into a male versus female thing? This is just really strange here.
Yes, it was very bizarre. I don't even know why she threw that in there. It was kind of weird, and it makes me wonder if she is having some sort of malcontent backstage, you know, with the company. Perhaps there are issues, and maybe that's why Andrade is coming out and speaking the way that he is, because he feels like she's got one foot out the door or something. It's very bizarre, the whole thing.
And here's the next one, guys, and this one is a bombshell. Apparently Charlotte and a bunch of the girls in the locker room don't get along because they're apparently jealous of her.
Yeah, that's what Andrade said, at least, or what was translated to him saying. And he said that a lot of the women, because there's only 3 or 4 women in WWE that can wrestle for 20 minutes, and Charlotte being one of those, and that she's basically the top girl. And he said that all of the other women in the locker room are just jealous of her, and they just see her as Ric Flair's daughter, and they just don't like that she wrestles the way that she does, and they say that she wrestles stiff and all this and that, and that they're all just jealous of her in every single way possible.
So I'm gonna say it's probably Charlotte, Sasha Banks, Bayley, and Asuka. Those are the 4 girls. And so that means the rest of the girls are jealous of Charlotte and all that kind of stuff, and probably stirring the pot and all that. And so for him to say this and just bring this very public, I think it's a really bad move. It shows that he's very immature, and it seems like he's stirring the pot, hoping to cause trouble for Charlotte so that way she leaves the company, right?
Right, and here's the thing, from the female perspective, if I was one of those women hearing this little rumor coming out of his mouth, I would be thinking, he didn't just come up with that on his own. That's because she came home and to him about other women in the locker room being jealous of her. So then I'm like, okay, that came directly from her then. She thinks that I'm jealous of her. It's all just gonna create drama between her and the females whenever apparently there's already drama there, and she's just escalating it by telling him things and then him going and just like shooting it out all over the internet.
Now, one other thing that he did reveal is that apparently Charlotte asked Karl Anderson to hook them up. And so that was kind of shocking that she was into him. And so she was the aggressor. But I guess it's not really shocking, because here's the thing, guys. I feel she's the man in the relationship. She's got all the masculine energy. And this guy, he's very emotional. He's like the in the relationship.
He is. And now what's interesting is that he did say that she was very timid on their first date and stuff. And I'm like, maybe it's just because she was nervous. Maybe she was playing a part or whatever. But he claims that she's nothing at home like she is on TV or whatever. And I'm like, she's got some hella masculine energy. I think that she definitely wears the pants in that relationship.
So stay tuned, because this is going to be a lot of drama. This guy, he does not know when to shut up.
All right, guys, that's the video. If you like what we're doing here, definitely check out our other channel, 5 Minute Eats. And don't forget to give us a like and subscribe.